That
I keep telling you, this is the show.
it is the show. This is the show.
Yeah, and nobody wants a polished, well thought out program. It's content. It has to go out.
It's got to go out. And this is
The,
probably my eighth or ninth live stream ever, I think.
oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. Well, you're doing a great job.
Well,
Me,
thank you.
me on the other hand, is there still a lag?
No, this is great.
Okay. Well, I'll try to make sure there's not a phone shadow in my face at all times.
I
How's this?
think
Is this good? Is this a good? Is this good for the internet?
the phone shadow is directly in your face.
How many billions of dollars went into this technology for us to be doing this with it?
Well, I personally have spent 10 grand on my setup. So as you can see, I'm in an empty rental house that's being renovated. Renovator Jim he has put plastic down on the floor. I told him, make it look like I'm about to murder someone.
Well, he's doing a good job. It looks like what was that 4-hour Martin Scorsese movie about mobsters?
I'm not sure. Well, yeah, which one?
Yeah, exactly. One of those movies. You know that the one he did that it's not the religious one; it's the mafia one.
Right. I think I know which one of the 20 you're talking about.
Right.
No,
right,
the Goodfellas. I don't know. I don't know I don't know the catalog.
You don't know the catalog? You lived
No.
in New York. You lived it, right? Isn't that what it is? It's always just Goodfellas at all times, just references.
Goodfellas 1 through 20. Yes.
Right. Goodfellas in the Puerto Rican Day Parade. How nice.
Yes. So I am talking to Jay Whitecotton right now, and I don't know much about you. I just know that you're a hilarious comedian.
Well, I would love to hear what you know about me. I would love to hear the things you know.
When I lived in Austin for 3 months and started running 3 showcases, I was looking for very solid closers for my showcase, even though I did not have a big budget to pay them. And everybody who I knew, who I've known for like 20 years, they were all like, Jay Whitecotton, got hit him up. So I hit you up and you came and you did it. And you fucking destroyed the crowd for double the amount of time that I asked you to. So
I really needed the attention.
Yeah. You told me you were just coming back after taking somewhat of a hiatus.
I'm still on that hiatus.
Oh yeah.
Hiatus. Yeah, I'm still on that hiatus. Like that show was so healthy for me on a lot of different ways. I needed that show. That was like, I still remember that show.
Yeah.
By the way, you don't hear a dog chewing on a bone in the background, do you?
I wouldn't have guessed that that's what it was, but I hear something, but it's so low it doesn't. Yeah, it's totally fine. Oh, he's wearing he came equipped with track jacket. This is track jacket, Jay Whitecotton.
Yeah, fuck off. You're getting in the way.
I'm so glad.
Business.
Dude, I gave you the light like 3 times during that show. And then after the 3rd time, I was just like, you know what? The crowd is still loving this and they're into it. So fuck it. And then I think you did 45 or 50 minutes.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd done that amount of time since the lady died when I was on stage. It was it's been a hellish existence. I needed that show for a lot of reasons. One, I just needed to feel like a stand-up again because when Austin, after the Troubles, I don't know if you remember the Troubles, there was this virus that spread across the country. A lot of people don't remember that, but it tended to shut everything down. And I was kind of going through it. And all the shows were just fucking terrible in Austin. And just this... how would you describe it? I feel like
I wasn't there. I wasn't in Austin and I didn't do any shows. I actually went to Florida because they were still open. So I did like something at Side Splitters. And then I did a couple of drive-in movie theater shows, which were much better than I expected. And I did a couple of rooftop shows. So every show I did was good. And I made sure that like what I was getting into was going to be quality before I did it. I didn't do any Zoom shows. So I stayed away from bullshit.
Yeah, right. I tried to do the same. And then I did a lot of the bullshit, but I didn't want to do the bullshit everybody else was doing. Because it just, I don't know if you're like, I don't find desperation funny.
Right. It can be though, right?
I mean, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. But being and desperate characters are absolutely foundational for conflict, and all that.
Right.
But storytelling, and I think that's fundamentally what's kind of wrong with comics today is they all feel like they're the leading person in the story, right?
Uh-huh.
And they
Yep.
don't realize that no, you're the only unfuckable person.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing trying to be fuckable? You're gross.
But they're overcompensating by being funny, right?
Right.
Or
What's
compensating, I should say.
Yeah, they're like an extra in a Judd Apatow movie. Just
Mm-hmm.
I'm unfuckable, but look at all this personality. What kind of personality is it? The type that pushes people away. All right, well, that's not better, I
I
guess.
think we're even past that. Now it's like the hottest people in the world are doing stand-up.
They're doing a version of stand up, but it's like really fucking just shallow. It's like every music. This happened in music. If you don't like one section of music, you find music you do like, and then you're like, this is my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
For most people, I like a lot of music, so I like variety, and then some people just like their fucking thing, and I feel like that's what's happening in comedy as it's starting to break apart, and we're starting to see the subgenres of comedy take effect, and it's a medium that really doesn't need a lot of star power. There's only like 10 comics at any one time. The public conscious isn't starving for more celebrity comedians.
Right.
And it seems like all these handsome people got kicked out of acting by there's so much to this. Like it's like
I
a
know.
trickle down effect of like the celebrity, the rich kids of celebrities have pushed out the rich kids who are pushing out the upper middle class kids pretending to be rich kids who are now pushing their way into Austin to push out the poor fucks and the middle class fucks down to where I'm at now, which is San Antonio.
I don't
So
know. To me, you look wealthy as fuck. I don't know. You look like you're a millionaire.
well, you've been living a terrible life for 20 years and you have no idea what success looks like. I would understand that. You've been pimping Kevin Brennan, trying to find stories for old boy Kevin Brennan so that he can entertain the masses with the lunatics, of which I desperately want to talk to you about. What a weird gig. How did you get a gig where they asked you, okay, here it is. You know that thing you got into this business for, to stand on stage and tell jokes? All right, well, forget that. What I want you to do is I want you to find a lunatic with mass appeal, and then let me shit all over this person for an hour, like a pinata, for my army of desperately looking for justice warriors.
The fuck are you talking about, dude? First of all, I'm not pimping him. He's pimping me, I think. He's my pimp.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of think so. I think you're right, because he's asking you to go get more Johns, right?
No, never.
How
He
does it
doesn't.
work?
What do you mean? I just do the show when he asks me to do the show. He sends me the link and I jump on if I can, and that's it. And then we talk about whatever's going on at the time.
Okay, that fucking
Yeah.
rules. I'm okay. Okay, thank God. I have been completely under the wrong assumption.
Okay. What did you assume?
Well, I'll be honest. Like, I don't
Mhm.
really know much in this world, and I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things. And some things confuse me. And one of those things that deeply confuse me is the amount of people that were hitting me up on Twitter and other sites asking me to go on podcast with people I've never met before, with zero lead as to why I'm on this podcast. Like that happened a whole bunch,
Mhm.
especially over the past few years. And then I was come to find out there's like a whole economy of booking podcast guests.
Mhm.
And I know we've talked a little bit about that. People do get paid to be on podcast. I don't think I'm telling secrets out of school, am I?
Right. No, it's rare, but it happens. Yeah.
Okay. And like the story, well, I'm hearing from other people like who are getting like this. When I got into stand up, there was a job for new comics with the radio industry, like morning show radios, where you would call in pretending to be some person with a problem, and then they would fuck with you for a few minutes, and then you would get paid pretty well to do it. And I had a lot of friends who would in improv who would like play those characters on radio. I personally refused to wake up that early, even to promote the venue or the show that I'm at in whatever city. So I
Mhm.
would hire those improvisers to play me on those morning radio stations, because I figured if they're gonna fake being Jeff, the guy that beats his wife. Like that was most of the bits. It was always just some weird shit like that. I'm rambling,
Well,
but
I want to hear about this because you told me that you were booked to do Misery Loves Company with Kevin Brennan at some point a couple of years ago, and you sent in a substitute.
yeah. I was kind of well. I was curious. I was experiencing like this weird. I'm a booker, all right, and a stand-up, right. So that means like I'm clearly not funny. I don't know if you know how this works, but if you have to book yourself, it's because you're not funny. There's no other ulterior reasons why a saturated market would deny such amazing talents.
Except that you are funny.
Go
on.
But I have to address the hits, you know.
Okay.
Comments, greatest hits, you know, is well there because there's a phoniness that comes with this medium, and a kind of a planned patois patter, whatever, that people like, a script that people kind of read off, and it's very blatant. So I'm trying not to be one of those fucking douches, but I was booked to be on Kevin Brennan's podcast at a time where I didn't want to be on anyone's podcast. I didn't want to do anything, and I was getting hounded by people. And I had to put out I recorded I recorded a month before the Troubles, and then I got COVID, a special, and then I had to release it, and it felt fucking terrible because I was surrounded by desperate, sad narcissists begging for attention online, begging Zoom shows. It was not a good world in 2020. Right. And I didn't want to be one of those. And I thought it was tacky. And I thought, well, when shit's going down, you know, I don't think people need to hear more of me. I think people need to figure out their own shit. Right. And it just seems like I was in a business surrounded by people falling apart because they couldn't sell the idea that they were inventing of themselves.
So why were you booked on MLC?
I still have. Okay. There we go. It took me a second to remember. I'm still trying to figure out why I'm booked for anything. Okay, so I got set up on the Skanks, on the Legion of Skanks network, by one of these podcast guys, a guy named Robbie Goodwin, who I'm still kind of fine with. I'm more annoyed, but like, he was in quarantine. He got together with my buddy Dalton Pruitt, who I knew from the Dallas comedy scene, and this other guy who I did not know, and they were doing their version of Come Town, basically. They were doing their Come Town impression, and they were doing a pretty damn good Come Town impression because they were getting numbers, and they were making their way in the Skankfest community. And I'm an opinionated person, but I'm also very aware of when I'm being set up. And I noticed that they were all talking shit about Louis J. Gomez, or is it Louis J. Gomez?
Louis J. Gomez, yes.
Louis J. Gomez. All right. I want to get that right. And so they were just in the what is it? The green room you call when it's not recording?
Oh, like, I don't know, the waiting room?
the waiting room of whatever. Okay.
I think it'd probably still be called the green room, but you're talking about in studio?
Yeah, well, they call it the green room. In studio is nice. That's a nice flair. They were just talking mad shit about this guy as if they didn't desperately want this guy's attention and love. Okay. And it really bothered me. And it annoyed my friend that they were interviewing too. And we had already been making fun of him for this because they couldn't wait to tell us how much they think Louis J. Gomez sucks. And I didn't understand that, seeing as how they clearly wanted to be a part of that net. You know, like, you know what I'm talking about? Does any of this make sense?
I know what, like, the vibes of what you're talking about, not specifically this, but like this must have been before Dalton Pruitt got the Louis J. Gomez bump, because he did eventually put him on.
No, he got bumped up really well because Dalton is a brilliantly funny person, a kid, is how I see him, you know. And
but they were talking shit about Louis. Now, why did that offend you or bother you?
Well, I don't like you know, put your money where your mouth is. Turn the recorder on. If you're going to talk shit about someone, say it. Just fucking say it. And if you can't talk, you know, if you can't do it in a way that's funny or in a way that, you know, can play with it, then you have no business having an opinion. Maybe shut the hell up. And pay attention, you know. Okay. So So they recorded this and they got me saying, Louis J. Gomez, the only thing funny he's ever done was be the funniest thing he ever did was being the closer of Nate Bargatze's act. And then miraculously from this no-name podcast, suddenly when they did get hooked up in the Skankfest, Robbie put it out thinking that I was a name to trade on. To push their podcast numbers up. So he started doing the outrage. What do you wrestling? I call it wrestling. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, like WWE, WWF, online radio wars, podcast wars.
That dumb shit.
Okay.
That's not stand up, by the way. And of course, I expect a fucking Adam Sandler impersonator to do this kind of bullshit. You know, if you can't do your own voice, oh great, let's see you fucking imitate everything else. Can't wait. So that really fucking sucked. But
so you're saying he set you up and he leaked this? That now, did you say this not on the podcast, or you said it on the podcast and he just?
I gotta be honest. I honestly don't give a shit either way, because nothing I said was really insulting. It was actually the funniest way I could sound insulting without being insulting. I was really trying. Because I don't talk shit about people I've never met or don't know, and I don't have like a functional understanding of who this person is other than he's going to war at that time. It was in the late teens or whatever. He was going to war with a bunch of Austin comics who I personally thought were also insufferable. Like I think all of it's insufferable, to be quite honest, and none of it's really stand up. But I mean, if they're having fun, I'm just annoyed to be around it and then get asked to be a part of it.
They used you to start a podcast war. That's
yeah. I had my name fucking blasted like crazy. It wasn't a podcast. Yeah, they were just use me for, hey, get attention to their podcast. Hey, this guy's talking shit about our favorite Puerto Rican. Is he Puerto Rican? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's the Puerto Rican rattlesnake.
There you go. Well, tell them to give Texas back our flag.
So then you got booked on MLC because of this heat you were getting, I guess?
Yeah. When I figured out Robbie was trying to do the radio podcast game because he was getting paid to bring guests on. So if he's getting paid, then he's going to manufacture stories. It's like, journalism. When there's nothing to talk about. Like you see this in sports journalism a lot when they don't have anything to say. So suddenly someone wants a big trade. They're hearing rumors. It's the easiest fucking game in the world. And so I saw Robbie starting to do that. He was asking me to do Kevin Brennan's podcast, but I have a backstory of Kevin Brennan. I got to work with him at the River Center Comedy Club in San Antonio when I was just starting out. I like Kevin Brennan. Or at least the idea I have of Kevin Brennan as a touring functional headliner who upsets a lot of people in South Texas. It makes fun of the British manager. Like I have an endurance for that dude. It's like, there's a stand up. And then you were like happy to be invited, I guess. I was super stoked to be invited. I was like, oh man, I get to talk to Kevin Brennan about some stupid South Texas. I'm going to remind him about things he's done that he would be like, I forgot I had a career. I'm not just angry at my brother all the time or at other people who have slighted me in this business. When I researched the show I was going on, because I like to do that sometimes, I was like, I'll catch up on Kevin Brennan. I just thought he was just in all these beefs with fucking Robert, what's his name? And
Kelly?
That guy. And all the gang, the guy.
Right. This is New York comics or whatever. People he was associating with sometimes.
People that make a lot of content and are seem to be upset at each other at all times. And it really bummed me out. And I was like, I'm getting asked to do this, to get a part of this. So I'm supposed to keep shitting on Louis J. Gomez, who I don't feel like I have any reason to do that. Like I don't think that's any of my business.
Okay.
I don't live my life this way. But if I will shit on anything, I have no problems with that.
It has to be real.
It should be at least authentic. And if you're gonna insult somebody, you probably would pick something a lot better than, by the way, one of the funniest, most successful comedic acts that everyone is like admiring and looking up to. That guy's closer is about you, and it's so fucking funny. You can't top it. I think he could probably agree with that sentiment. Like that's kind of a compliment. But when
Do
you
you,
say something with some stank, it's twisted to be whatever the fuck people want it to be, which is why I actually said it that way. I just was kind of curious. I didn't give a fuck, and here we are.
do you know what year this was or how many years ago?
2020.
Okay, this was 2020. Okay. So you got booked on the show and then you were like, I don't feel like shitting on this guy. What should I do? So type of thing.
Oh no, okay. So I think that was 2020 when that shit went down, and then 2021, I think they were trying to. The dates and times are a little different because I fuck it, I just let go, and I've been doing the side project. But when they asked me to go on Kevin Brennan's podcast, I had already kind of come to the conclusion that I didn't like the platforms. I took my albums off of Spotify. I did it before other people did, and it wasn't for economical reasons. And I didn't make this big fucking speech. I just personally felt kind of hypocritical of, well, why am I on this thing that I know shits on and doesn't help you? It doesn't help you. It's a myth. Having it there seems important, but for what situation? Who said that? So I thought, if everybody is just forcing themselves on every platform in this unhealthy way where it leads to burnout, and I've never been really creatively inspired by any of their work. Well, maybe not doing that is a better tactic to go, a better strategy, maybe less, maybe going away and letting everybody kind of work out their need for attention, and then work on yourself and write and create more of a point of view so that when you go back on stage, people will connect to that in an authentic way and go, hey, that guy gives a shit. That's refreshing in this world of people faking it till they make it. I think I'm interested in what that guy who gives a shit about what he's saying. I think I'm going to listen to that.
Yeah, but the way to do it is to get on Sirius. That way you're at least getting paid.
I got on Canadian Sirius, and that was I don't know what
Okay.
that means. I don't know what that means. You getting paid, sure, but who owns the channel? Like when you really get down to it, I got signed to Stand Up Records. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yes.
With
Minnesota.
Minnesota, Dan Schlichtel,
Mhm.
Zionist. I just want the world to know he's a Zionist. I'll let you guys play with it however you want to, but boy, is he against Palestine. Let you guys have fun with that. I personally don't give a shit. Fuck them both. And I don't, sorry. He signed me, and I just like, and then I started listening to people talk about, and I looked at his contract, and I started saying, oh, this is the game. What you do is you want to get enough content, so you put it on the satellite radio, whatever. He gets a producer cut that's
Right.
equal to your artist cut. You
Mhm.
get a cut. So it's technically you're getting 50-50. They say you get 100% of an artist cut and 100% of a producer cut, and you're like, well, take that sum of money. That's 50-50.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know exactly because I'm in talks with one of the bigger labels, like one of the two bigger
Can I
ones.
guess? Can I guess?
Sure, I won't tell you, but you can
800-pound gorilla.
So that's like one of the labels.
Yeah. And then the other one is Comedy Dynamics.
And that's another label. I think there's more than that,
There's
right?
they're
There's
all
like a ton.
They're
But
all
those
labels.
ones are the more well-known ones. But I mean, they basically told me like 50-50. And I'm like, is that negotiable? And they said yes. But then it ended there because I still need to actually record an album. But I would assume that if you are more successful, that it wouldn't be 50-50.
You would think so. But that was one of the things when hanging around Stanhope and hearing him talk about, the business side and learning, how to actually approach these things. Because it's not just the presentation of what we're fucking doing. You're getting fucked at all times. It's the
Right.
entertainment industry. I don't know if you know it. It's not filled with good people.
Right.
Sorry, the Me Too movement. Sorry, cancel culture. But everyone doing this is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The thing that he was upset about is like, why am I giving this guy 50% of my online distribution in perpetuity? That means forever.
Right. Right.
Why am I giving this guy half of everything I've done forever? This seems predatory. Was what my lawyer actually looked at the contract and said. He was like, oh, this is a predatory contract. It will not hold up. And when I realized that, and he was kind of janking me around, there's a whole backstory to this, but I don't put up with fucking frauds very well. And when I come from gypsies, man. So when you're trying to fucking do some shit to me, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to get annoyed and I'm going to be playful about it. And I caught Dan in a whole bunch of lies about when he was going to distribute my album. It was over a year. And then I was hearing stories about people not being able to do material on Comedy Central because he now owns it
Hmm.
through the album. And then I realized, oh, fuck, we got to be extremely careful as artists, comedians, how we're getting fucked because we're now the marks, because
Right.
there's so much of us now that it's created its own market where people are creating an economy on getting us to perform for free for them or for 25 bucks. And then they clip it out, create a content dump, and then call it Don't Tell Comedy. And what
Hmm.
they're not telling you is that a special isn't 15 minutes. That's actually not what a special. They call it a special. Look at their
Right.
special. It's a 15 minutes. That's not special.
No, it's not. But the
That's a
whole game has
7. Yeah.
changed, and that's why there's all these companies that have. Well, people basically have gone independent on everything, so people have their own labels and companies now.
Right, right. So now we're getting in terms of gatekeepers. We're getting in terms of who controls the production means, that whole mark shit. And it really does come down to economics. But at the end of the day, the work isn't as good as it used to be
Right.
creatively across all mediums. There is a lack going on. And there's a lot of different responses to that. And there's a lot of different interpretations of why that's happening. I have my own opinions on that, but I don't think it's an opinion. I'm stating this as a fact that I see as a fact that music, comedy, wrestling, sports, the mentality of players, you hear this a lot in sports media. I like paying attention to sports journalism because it shows you the game plan that's going to be happening in the big journalism game, you know, how to
Hmm.
bullshit and lie, because the sports guys are all fucking doofuses, so they just do it openly. And so you're hearing a lot of people complain about the attitudes of players, right? Player empowerment, and that trickles down into artist empowerment. And there's a lot of empowerment, but the people that are co-opting the language of this and the people that are taking this empowerment argument are mostly untalented. They're entrepreneurial. They're fake it till they make it. They're trying to create the idea of something instead of trying to figure out how to actually craft and do the thing that they're trying to present. And
Right.
unfortunately, we live in a business of both appearances and authenticity. So there's this weird line where they get to hide, and these conversations come up and give numbers for podcasts and create their own currency. I don't know how to really address this. It's pretty big, right? It's
Well,
pretty
yeah. I
stupid.
mean, I think you're basically describing all of life, right? This is just the nature of life or in business.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of annoying? Why do
Well,
I have to kill
yes.
myself because I'm annoyed by it? Why doesn't life fucking get its shit together? What do I need to say to fix this shit for everyone else? Is
I,
the little voice screaming in my head.
I mean, is it a simulation?
Okay, yeah, but it depends on what you mean assimilation is. And if you're like a lot of the crazy wackadoos who, oh, it's clearly a computer simulation I'm in, that's why I'm not successful and people don't recognize me for being God.
No, I
That's
don't think that. I just
right,
wonder
but
if
no,
it's a
but
simulation. Yeah.
there are dudes that go and chicks out there that it's mostly dudes. Let's not lie. No one will fuck me. It's clearly a
Yeah.
simulation.
Right.
You know, this is not a life I would be put on. I'm fuckable. No, you're not.
Right.
You're not fuckable. You have done nothing to make yourself fuckable. I'm sorry to be the one to tell it to you, but I'm pretty sure life already did. Uh, that's the verbiage that comes with the word simulation. That's the weight I have to strip off.
Hmm.
If we're talking about, to me, what simulation means is we live in a culture of archetypes. A lot of this Jungian archetype that was pushed during the 20th century. A lot of media archetypes. What are the condensed? Break it down. What's this character? What are motivations? I feel people are too attached to media and storylines for comfort, that now they're starting to live their personal life as if they're an archetype of themselves. I'll use Dalton as a good excuse. Dalton, who is who I love dearly, I haven't talked to in a long time because last time I talked to him, he went insane.
Hmm.
And he went insane in part due to the many conversations I was having working this shit out. And so I've always felt a certain kind of way about that. Uh,
He
it,
blames it on the drugs, I think.
Oh, it was for sure the drugs, but he had a psychotic break because I kept asking him, "Hey, does stand up still exist?
Yeah.
What is it?" Because it's not this shit. I don't call this stand up. So why are they calling this stand up? This is a podcast, like fundamental Socratic dialogues on what are the nature of words, what are we actually trying to convey? Because let's face it, the language thing, this has the species has been around way more longer than the language.
Yeah.
We've been talking supposedly for 200,000 years, but we've existed for millions. Like we've had ways of communicating. Who knows how? But it worked for then.
So the
So
brain is basically electricity, and it's like an electric organ, right? Or electric, yeah, it's an electric organ. So it's finally fused with technology. So that's why everybody's like leaning on technology for comfort instead of leaning on community and human interaction for comfort. That's what you're saying?
no, well, I like what you're saying. To tweak it, I would say that isolationism and our own selfish I would say a childhood arrested development, but an arrested development for sure in our ability to actually communicate and form relationships. I feel like social media and the online culture. I don't feel like I'm the only one that feels this way. I think a lot of us are starting to realize, oh, this shit is a drug. Oh no, it
Mm-hmm.
affects us just like this thing in the
Yep.
same places. Okay, we should probably be more cognizant and talk about this more. Oh no, but that affects the money. What do we do?
But you're too late, Jay, because they're about to put it in our brain. It's like physically in our brains. Neuralink.
Yeah, I guess. That's yeah. It's. I. You know what? I'm rooting for you guys. Keep the species. The species. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm on the sidelines. No one's trying to put anything in my brain. No one gives a fuck about me that way.
Well, where it's going, I think.
Well, that'll probably happen, and it'll probably be the most banal, stupid thing. We'll find a way to make that amazing technology. We'll find a way to make it just about pornography.
Right. So okay, so people are completely disconnected, and then this is what's but I mean people are susceptible to it. Like, you
Yeah,
could say
yeah,
this about
yeah.
anything. Before the technology, it was drugs and alcohol, right? Before that it was who the fuck.
No, well, at what point are we done saying, well, it's always been this way? That's cool. And then go, well, no, it's not always been this way. Everything should be addressed as it's happening. But no one right now is willing to take responsibility for anything anywhere because why would you? What a terrible idea to
It's too
take
big to
response.
fail.
Everything is too big to fail. It's just a crisis. People say it's a mental health crisis, but it's genuinely, there's a lot of fucking mediocre people out there trying to big their way into everyone else's lives. There's a lot of drama and
Mhm.
not a lot of fucking just self-discipline and basic things people need to do to function in this world. I don't care about, you know, a lot of things that people care about, but I also am not going to involve myself in those things
Right.
for hashtag chasing, for platform chasing, which is what we're encouraged to do as stand-up comedians. We're
Yes. We were talking about this earlier. I hate it, and it tie into your whole community thing. It's like, or unless that's not what you were saying, I guess that's what I was
no, it
saying.
is. It is.
There's no community left in stand-up comedy. It's just gone. Like it's good and bad, and like not having gatekeepers is good and bad because anybody can make it, but also anybody can make it. But if you go to a scene or whatever, there's no hierarchy anymore. Really, I guess the hierarchy is now like how many
There's a
followers you
hierarchy.
have.
No, there is absolutely hierarchies don't disappear. When Rome fell, the money just changed hands. Oh, we're no
Yeah.
longer this. Okay, we're Christians now. Let's just move the money into the church instead of fucking the government, and then we'll use faith to keep people in line because that seems to be really work gangbusters up until Nietzsche said God is dead. So here we are.
So it's
Uh,
changed to how many followers you have.
well, something's changing. There is something changing. We can there. You can see a big pushback. The God people are starting to make a big point of, hey, remember God? He's still there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I don't know if the word secularist is that right? Secularist people
I
that
don't know.
I don't know. People that think most of it's just stories and bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
down earth, but have like some other thoughts about it themselves. I think a lot of people are getting lost in other things. Maybe it's the idea of our own God. Remember those people that would say, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious?
Mm-hmm.
and how annoyed we would be at those people because they would usually say nothing else interesting after that.
Yeah, they're just like hippies.
Right. And you're just like, oh no, you stink. You just smell. You smell and you have crystals. That's not
Yeah.
spiritual. You're just a consumer in a different way. You just,
Right.
and
You do hot yoga and don't shower when you're
this is
done.
how you define your purchases, and this is how they define their purchases. Because
Hmm.
it's still an expression of the self, which ultimately seems to be the thing that a lot of the people we're surrounded by are trying to do. And instead of doing it well, they're just saying, well, I don't know. The best way I can phrase it is stand up comedy is the easiest thing to pretend to do, but the hardest thing to actually do.
100%. And crowds don't care anymore either. They just want to show up to see their favorite online personality. They don't really care if the show is actually funny.
They never cared about stand up comedy. They just they wanted to feel something, and they took a chance, and they wanted to do something different in their shitty town.
And
And
they
we
want to
would,
get a picture. Yeah.
yeah, they want to feel, and we were going to be like, hey, we're supposed to smile and go, yeah, man, this is what, you have no idea. I'm a fucking loser. You have no idea. I'm sleeping in my car tonight. I drove so far. I was going to just do a guest spot, but the other feature dropped out. Like they have no idea the lack of glamour. And I too suffer from this. I bring up Stanhope again. I was in Atlanta and I got to do a guest spot for him because he was going through it. Just synced up that way. Wasn't planned. And he was so gracious enough to be like, oh, you're in town, fucking come do a spot real quick.
Hmm.
And it was it was what, I'm fucking lost. It was oh man, I'm sorry, so many
That's
thoughts.
okay. I know your brain, your brain is fucking racing, dude.
It is. Well, it's refreshing to be able to talk to another person who's been around, who's seen both sides of it, who can functionally argue pros and cons for both sides.
Yeah.
Because I don't want this to be misinterpreted as a versus conversation where it can only be the way I remember it. No, because that way sucked too. Like
Hmm.
what I'm thinking about is the natural evolution of things and how to move forward correctly without falling into the trap of being hustled, because you have to be aware a lot. If you're paying for a StreamYard, if you're paying for $10,000 for the setup, you're paying for everything. At
Right.
some point, it's really more of a market for getting people to do that, which is the parallel I'm doing. Is I worked in music first. I was a guitar salesman and sold synths at a Mars Music, which was like this impression of Guitar Center, where this rich guy who played guitar said, fuck him, I'm going to do it my way, built his own Elon Musk guitar store, and then fucking spread it across the country to the point where he had to close his business down because he grew way too much from pride.
Hmm.
But I remember sitting there and going, oh, I'm not selling to musicians. I'm selling to dads, businessmen at 11 o'clock, 12, coming in from lawyering and accounting to go buy a $3,000 guitar behind their wife's back, and that they
Right.
never fucking play. And then students teaching other students. And then I saw the same thing happen in improv. Oh, it's students teaching other students, and they're paying, and they're performing for students.
Yeah,
Where
it's weird when you can get like podcast equipment at a Target or something or a Walmart.
10 years ago, Best Buy created a little package, the Insta Podcaster, and you're like, okay, I think this thing has been exploited to the fullest extent. Now we should find creative ways to use this medium. Maybe it's in editing, maybe it's in content, maybe it's in the subject matter, because when we naturally tend to talk about these bigger, more real, concise things, people tend to just go gay,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it's easier for them to do that because they're stupid and they're scared. They're
Yeah.
stupid, scared people, afraid of ideas, afraid of thoughts, and it's
Well,
annoying as shit.
I still want to, I'm really interested in what happened after you got booked on MLC and then you didn't
Oh
want to
man, I
do it.
totally forgot. Okay, all
That's
right,
okay.
all right. Sorry. Okay, so at that time, I thought it was funny how everybody just had to be on podcasts, and
Hmm.
if you weren't on podcasts, you don't have any credibility in this business. And so I just like, all right, I'll fucking do them. And I was getting all these people hitting me up. Please tell us you're a ranting, raving lunatic who's very honest. We need to have you on our podcast. And so I was like, I'm not being exploited this way. And all that does is people use it against you. All it does is
Right.
people use it against you. I learned that immediately from fucking Robbie Goodwin. It doesn't matter what you're trying to create in your head. I think I'm being smart and I'm doing something. It doesn't fucking matter. People are going to twist it, sell it, and other people are going to buy it because there's too much shit to think about. Fuck me. I have no business thinking anyone's going to have a nuanced thought about anything I say. Who the hell am I?
Well, it's all simplified and sensationalized as well, which is like weird because podcasts are long form content, but nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about context.
People do. I think a lot of people do. The way I would describe it is, I think we tried to talk about this earlier, but I've been thinking heavy on it, is that I feel like we're all being held hostage by the drunk fighting couple at the bar.
Yes.
The regulars at the bar who show up and they're so fun. We're playing darts, man. I fucking love this dude, Dallas, guys. Look at my buddy Dallas, man. He's so nice and fun and lively and he, cool. And his wife's pretty awesome and stuff. And then they get sloppy drunk, and then we don't see their dark, evil things that they do to each other when they're not having fun on the high end of their bipolar manic episodes. So now we get the fallout. We get to see it happen in the parking lot as this raving lunatic is screaming and tearing at each other, and you're just kind of like, this is none of our business. We just came here to drink,
right,
and talk bullshit. Why is everything have to be about this couple's fight?
So you didn't want to get, basically, I'll use the word exploited or something on like what could have been.
I don't mind getting exploited. You're straight up. You can exploit me however you like. Let's work together on the exploitation so we can have the best exploitation we can get.
Okay.
The problem I have is fucking impersonating fucking hacks pretending to be stand-ups because their rich mommy producers been able to fund them, going out there ripping on a 20-year fucking guy just slugging it out trying to learn how to fucking tell jokes so he could like win the favor of the Puerto Rican rattlesnake. What a stupid thing I have to say. I have to talk to Sean Patton and look him in the eye and go, well, I would love to meet you at Skankfest, but I can't because the founder thinks I think this thing when I personally don't give a shit and I don't feel like I should have to. I shouldn't even have to express I don't give a shit, but for some reason I feel the need to because now I feel I'm being attacked at all times. Like from a community of doofuses who just want to be career middles, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so you sent in a decoy.
I sent in, well, I was already sending in other people as me anyways. Like, I don't like appearances. So I think it's funny to send other people as me. I was doing it for the morning rock radio shows when I would do like these Lubbocks or Corpus Christi's or these small towns in Texas and throughout the South. Sometimes they'd be like, oh, the morning radio show's got to have you. He's wild. And it's never been fun because the morning radio guy always hates the stand-up because the stand-up's clearly better than the morning rock radio guy who feels like he has to apologize for doing what he does to the guy who's doing something that doesn't make any money at all. Like it's a stupid dance between two mediocre egos. And I don't like doing it. It's not fun. And to me, it's hilarious to send a black woman as me instead. Or my buddy Aaron Cheatham, who is obviously not Jay Whitecotton. He's a tall black man with an American flag behind him for Stanhope and Andy Andrist's album release party with Paul Provenza. And then there's a box with my name under it and just some random black guy. I find that hilarious, especially when everyone around me is crying, freaking out. Why would you not take advantage of this opportunity? What the fuck?
Yeah, you basically trolled the trolls, I guess.
I'm not trolling anything. I'm just not partaking. There's a difference. All right. If I'm being cheeky, I'm having a good time. And at the end of the day, it's a funnier story than, oh, Jay, tell me about that one podcast you were on. What's funnier? I can tell you what happened. No one gives a shit. Or I can tell you, yeah, I'm not going on any of this podcast. I'm just going to send random wackadoos, which leads me to answer your question. There we are. So with Kevin,
so what happens? Oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't know you were.
Well, I was really bummed out. Robbie was setting me up under those circumstances, and I don't play ball like that, especially if you're not going to tell me. Like, if you want to set me up, let me know. I'll work with you. I'll help you out. If this is professional wrestling now, okay, let me tell the audience, hey, I'm going to go do my WW entertainment, so you don't whatever. So then when you hear the authentic stuff, you can see the real me. Like, I feel like those things are important. You shouldn't look at people on screen as if, oh, that's their actualized self. Seems unhealthy and wrong.
Right.
So
Right.
I say this as I completely misrepresent myself on this podcast that was out to misrepresent me anyways. So there's this guy I know named Danny Mendlow.
I'm not out to misrepresent you.
No, I'm saying in general
Oh, okay.
podcasts,
Oh,
not
gotcha.
you.
Okay.
But boy, you have a terrible poker face. I sent this Canadian guy named Danny Mendlow, and Danny Mendlow produced comedy shows. He has his own like network, Canadian network. I don't know. It's toofar.tv. He was a big fan of the New York fucking free speech group, which, be free speech, but, don't be so free speech that you come off like a fucking fruitcake about it, like I'm not going to fuck the First Amendment, I'm sorry. I'm just annoyed.
Okay.
So, but he was going insane. Like he sent me I got a deal from Comedy Dynamics. And then I instantly made sure I didn't have a deal with Comedy Dynamics because there is nothing dynamic or comedy about the way they function as a business. It's just there to gobble up content. And then they don't actually promote your content. You see, the thing, I'll get why I didn't go on his show in a second here. The thing that these labels want to do is they want to own your content with the perception that their name gives you status so that you can get gigs. But when you go to a business and go, hey, I'm on Stand Up Records, and they go, who gives a shit? Why would anyone care about that? That's insane. And then you realize, oh, I can just call it a record company. Oh, I can just call this thing a comedy club, but it's in the basement of a children's restaurant. You can just do these things. That's entertainment. It's P.T. Barnum at the end of the day. We should be able to talk like this. Here's the fake stuff. Here's the real stuff. But now performers are all selling each other on the fake stuff as if we don't all know it's bullshit.
Right.
And so these things, they gobble up. They go, hey, take the name Comedy Dynamics. And then when you talk to them, they complain because, all right, so in the special, I just said rip Betty White and just assume she died during COVID. And she didn't. But I knew she was on her way. So I figured, hey, this would be a funny, like, when if I call it and when I release it, she dies. And then I release it and they're like, oh, fuck, how did he know? But she didn't die. And they were like, you can't kill Betty White and you can't leave this in here. That might be a legal thing. And I was like, well, if she's not dead, then it's clearly hilarious. What are we doing here? Is anybody watching a comedy special taking it serious for any of those reasons? Yeah, they are now, because media and the money and the power that it creates is as such that we're now losing the ability to go, oh, that's fake. That's not real. That's real. That's someone hiding some shit. We're losing these things with our inability to just have a relationship with our thoughts and communicate with people normally.
Right.
All right. So why I didn't go on Kevin's podcast?
No. So I was wondering what happens when you send these decoys in. Like, do they just go? Did they not know who you are or what you look like? So they think that they're actually
know.
you?
They're friends. I usually send
Oh,
friends.
okay.
Friends and talented performers.
No, I mean the people, who are hosting the appearance.
Oh, no. Well, a lot of them were strangers or, from this podcast crew that were trying to get me to go on these podcasts and put my foot in my mouth or something. No, it was just I didn't think of, honestly, I didn't give a shit. I was not thinking about it. It was too funny to me how much everybody cares about being on podcast. I thought, oh, okay. Hey, Aaron, go on a podcast. You want to be on a podcast so fucking bad? Go on this one. But just all you got to do is be me. Answer every question the way you would answer it, however you like. I don't care. And with Danny, it was different because I knew I was getting set up. I told Danny, I was like, he's a big Brennan fan. He knows all the backstories. He's a huge Compound Media follower. He cares about all that stuff. I go, you would love to be on this show. You go be on this show and just do whatever crazy shit you think stand-up is, because he's a failed comedian.
Okay.
He turned into a producer, and then he was trying to build tours, and he was trying to attach himself. He's trying to work on all these things. He's just one of these fucking guys that wants some attention.
Danny who?
Mendlow.
Okay.
And I love the guy.
So you sent him to MLC.
I sent him, and he brought like a construction cone. He apparently did a whole bunch of crazy shit. I still haven't seen it. Just a few screenshots. And Kevin apparently was tickled to death because then he started shitting on his brother and bringing that up. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I was hoping you would tell me someday.
I
But
haven't seen that episode,
I
so
honestly like not knowing. I like even
well,
more that I
sure.
don't know. And the fact that when I was getting so much shit after the Aaron Berg thing, uh, that I guess we'll have to discuss.
Yeah, I would like to know about that. You've done In Hot Water, right?
That's the name of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, I was scared that I actually ended it. I felt really bad for a second there because like when I didn't know why I was asked to be on the podcast. I was like, I was editing a sequel to my comedy special. Okay, so basically, I did it. I recorded in 2021, June, July, right in that area, and it was insane what I was going through. So I just vented on the mic, and it was like a magical show. Insane things happened. I brought up a guy on stage who'd never done comedy and forced him to do it. I said, "You got to do it," but for my special, I called out people. It was really fun, but
Mm-hmm.
it was but a lady died. A lady died during my closer, and we're filming, and I'm looking at the culture wars going on in this environment. I go, oh, I can release a special with a white woman dying and find a lot of success. Oh no, that's not success. That's exploitation. That's I don't want
Right.
to be defined. That's not, and also I'm not funny enough to follow that. I'm not
Okay.
funny enough to follow killing someone.
Wait, is this the Aaron Berg thing you're talking about, or is this
I'm
something
telling
else?
you what was going on in my head before
Oh.
I have to go on
Oh, I
this
see. Okay.
podcast. I'm just like, my friend Dalton Pruitt thought Secession was talking to him and had a manic episode where he was telling me things that I had told him as if it was happening in his life. And there was this
Wow.
blending. Yeah, I was starting to see like true psychosis happening around me, and a lot of different people physically. So I was like, oh, what is going on here? I need to understand this better. I've grown up around mental illness. My mom had schizophrenia, so I've always been like hyper aware of that. And the comforts of when something is your home, you don't recognize, oh, when your home sucks, that's probably not a good feeling to keep around you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of discipline and retraining and a lot of things to work through. Anywho, I'm asked to do Aaron Berg's podcast. I don't know this guy other than like he's got a really good presence. He seems to get is try to center himself at the center of all the controversies. He's doing the harder edge thing, and this Gino guy who seems to be like a failed comic who's now that guy who's the radio host who's like, I wasn't good at this, but I'm really good at this. And um, I don't know why. I just was so confused because when I got on the show, it was just Gino. Aaron wasn't there at first. I thought I was talking to comics, and it was this actress turned director, somebody, I don't know, pimping her movie that self released. That's clearly terrible. That's clearly a terrible movie. Her references were, I'm a big Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese fan, and you look at the movie, it has nothing to do with either of those. You're like, what are you talking about? That's insane. You're just a
Okay.
rich person with a camera.
Yeah, I
And
don't know who this. I don't know who
I'm
this
just
person would be.
remembering this.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be as fair as possible. If someone
Yeah.
goes back and watches this, hey, fuck that guy. There's a
No,
lot
I just
missing.
am saying I don't know who that would have been. I don't know the name, so I can't give you a
and
name.
and no one ever will. So I'm just dealing with this person clearly trying to be something, and she was trying to shit on me a little bit, and I was just like, I'm not dealing with this at all.
Right.
Or maybe I'm misinterpreting. That's the fun part. I was really high. Who knows?
Okay.
I have to be accountable. So I asked her, I go, where's Aaron? So they made Aaron come back. He's in like a car on his phone. I'm like, why aren't you on your podcast? I thought I was going to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it just kind of came, I realized I researched him a little bit and I heard his crowd work album and it just bummed me out.
Oh yeah.
It
Okay.
just bummed me out. It was
Wait,
so,
how did you get booked on the show?
I still don't know. Some dude from Twitter goes, you want to go on a nationally, whatever, you want to go on
Yeah.
Compound Media? And I was like, you know what? I need to learn. I've been sending all these people to go on these things. I need to toughen up. I don't like attention. We've talked about that,
Right.
right? We both, but I feel like a lot of creatives and a lot of, not myself, but a lot of good ones also feel that way. And they kind of wilt because they're doing something that requires them to take criticism and take attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not developed enough, or if you're not, sturdy enough, if you haven't done things to prepare you for that, it can all come in a wave. And, for years, I took note of watching friends go to LA and turn into these empty shells,
Mm-hmm.
these
Right.
plastic smiles. I'm like, why does Seth Rogen's laugh sound so hollow?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it not quite sound so jovial? It sounds so forced. And what's going on? What is LA doing to all my friends?
Right.
Right. And you realize that there's a relationship that happens. You change when you're in a different group of people. I've never been able to pull that off. So I know that I have a lot of stunted things.
That's
And
very draining.
it's extremely draining. I try not to take it out on the them that are comfortable doing those things. I try to take ownership. So I'm always feeling like I'm at lacking and behind. And I feel like this is a common thing most people actually feel, because when you do realize at the end of the day, no one really gives a shit about, no one's thinking about us.
Right.
They're all doing the same thing. And we call that society. So, I'm on Aaron Burke's podcast, and I'm there, I guess, to talk about comedy. And this guy, he's got a great voice. He's got great stage poise. But I'm listening. I'm like, I hate this industry so much that it made you think that you had to do a crowd work album just to keep your name up there. Imagine if you just spent the time working on your act instead of pouring your energy on this. What kind of amazing voice we'd have from Aaron Burke right now. That's how I see it.
Okay.
I see that I'm a big potential guy. And when I see that things are interrupting and stagnating growth, it pisses me off something fierce, kind of like how Disney got in the way of Star Wars, like that. That just infuriates me so much, that this obvious horrible thing that we knew was going to happen happened. And here we are with fucking blue milk and gay Darth Vader. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how long you've been
Trans Vader.
Yeah, it's like when I was coming up, all of the veterans around me would give me advice like, you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not ready. Just constantly, like year 10, you're not ready, you're not ready, 10 years in, and there are people 4 years in, when I'm 15 years in, dropping an album, and I'm like, what happened to you're not ready?
The truth is, you're never ready. There's no ready. All you can do, all ready is familiarization and getting the information, and then taking what you know and allowing for the fact that even though you know something, if you don't feel it, it's not going to mean shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to mean anything. You can. I know so many things that bite me in the butt because I didn't feel it. You forget and you go through it again. That I think a lot of people are too self-satisfied in knowing things, and they don't actually connect their feelings to it. So they're not actually using their knowledge correctly, because they've muted one thing to be superior and condescending to everybody online. I guess I don't fucking know. All I know is that crowd work albums are terrible to be pushed as actual albums. I'm vastly annoyed watching Shane Gillis desperately try to keep his name in public. I don't think that's doing him a disservice, and I'm not shitting on Shane Gillis. This is an opinion I have that I feel like needs to be expressed, because when you talk about these people, they're struggling too, right? Is that what but they're also rich and successful and highly credible because they did a Bud Light commercial. I don't know. I don't know.
Did something controversial happen when you were on In Hot Water? Because I think you were saying it was you were worried about something from your appearance. Oh, you thought that you ended the show? You thought that you?
Oh, that no. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, okay, yeah. I felt bad because like I was being sincere. I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that. I didn't know, because they threw this like retarded guy on screen, and I guess I was supposed to make fun of him, but I like retarded guys, like especially the Downsy ones with the big heads.
No, they like him there.
Okay. I wasn't
he's
sure.
loved there, yeah.
Yeah, I guess like the way you would love a pet, right?
I don't know.
As long as it's obedient and does what it does, but when it makes a mess, you rub its nose in it. You go, no, bad mongoloid.
I don't think that. I haven't seen anything like that happen, but.
Listen, I don't know. I don't know any of this. I'm just telling you what I had to.
So you were sincere to this guy.
I was sincere, and I didn't know what else to say. I was like, I was so annoyed at stand up in general. It just turned into like I was trying to figure out like what are the values, and that's what they were making fun of me for, because I was like, I don't care about good values or bad. What you have to have a value system though,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've talked about, you have a value system that you, if you don't violate it, or if you can question it, you should beat it up, right? It should be able to
Right.
stand on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But when you stray from that value system, then you start seeing these psychosis things happen. And I
Mm-hmm.
know I've seen this happen in Micers as a booker, watching new comics start getting a little, into themselves and not being able to handle that emotion because no one gave them the tools to realize, oh yeah, you're telling jokes in the party room of a children's restaurant. How dare you think you've done something exceptional?
Right.
Right. So the value system's off because people were making way more money doing this horse shit than actually working in EMTs or anything like that. Like, if I'm hearing comics scream and cry about the mental health crisis, but I have friends who are first responders, work in buses, who are killing themselves and overdosing on stolen drugs that they're taking from the fucking ambulance.
Yes.
And because all they see are dead babies and Target bags.
I mean, it sounds like you're talking about like corruption is everywhere. It's
Of
just
course
everywhere.
it's
Nothing.
the human, it's inside of us, it's inside of you. It's not, I'm not freaking out about corruption. What I'm doing is I'm vastly annoyed at comedians who tell it like it is and are all about fucking truth to power, who are afraid to fuck with the money.
Mm-hmm.
Because that to me is, you can't be one or the other. That's my values. If you want to say it, say it. If you
Well,
want to
yeah.
explain it. Otherwise, shut the fuck up and stop patting yourself on the back for being a free speech warrior. If what I think ended it is like, half his audience thought I was this big piece of shit, and I can't argue with them. And then the other half thought, hey, this guy's fucking bringing it, which I honestly can't argue with them because I don't know. I don't think either one of those things are true. What I do think is it's ridiculous for Aaron Berg to tell me on his stupid podcast with Gino and some strange director lady that believes she's freaking Kathleen Kennedy, I don't know, yelling at me because they're heroes. He called himself, he said he's saving lives with his comedy.
Oh.
He said on that episode to my face, his comedy is saving lives.
Gino said this.
No, Aaron Berg said
Aaron
this.
said this. Okay.
Gino knows better. Gino knows he's a hack and he wasn't good at stand-up, and he's openly, that's how he deflects criticism with the truth that, no, I suck. That's why I'm still doing this horseshit though. And that makes me not immune to it. No, you're still getting criticized. Step up. You want to put yourself out there. You have to be ready to.
Yeah. So then what happened with the show to make you think that it was like over or something?
Well, they made fun of me online for a little bit. I got some heat from the fans. They left comments on YouTube videos I had up saying they were worried about my mental health. And I was like, yeah, all right. I am too. That's why I'm questioning it. So I'm doing the due diligence. You see, you question mental health. You're like, oh, maybe I'm crazy. Okay, let's no, turns out I'm not crazy. I could be full of shit. That could be a true. Okay, that could be wrong. Wrong is a good one. Worried about his mental health because he doesn't think Aaron Berg is heroic in saving people's lives with his one joke at a time, one set at a time. It's important for me to be on stage. I'm the thing keeping people alive. Seems to be more of a symptom of a much deeper virus than the coronavirus. To me, the real virus that was inflicting and destroying lives was this virus of self-importance affecting in the music community, the wrestling community, acting community, comics, all of improv, all of it was just this wave of doofus demanding that everybody see the simulated version of themselves they want everyone to agree exists.
Yeah.
So that's the simulation that I kind of get annoyed by. I believe that exists.
It's incredibly sick. It's sickening and it's sick. I mean, and it actually can destroy lives. I mean, frauds are fucking assholes. I can't fucking stand them, but I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't think I'm just numb. I don't think I'm numb, but I think I'm just like, I can't, if you do something about it, you're the bad guy. It's like, no, it's acceptable for them to be who they are. But if you point it out and actually try to reprimand them, you're the fucking piece of shit. That doesn't make sense to me.
Here's why it makes sense, because the reprimand was abused by other frauds on the other. They were just using mental health. They're using all reprimand, all that stuff. They were using it for their hustle culture to create these archetypes of this versus this. It's an attention economy. Get people, get attention, get it as much as possible, and say whatever you have to say, and 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 use whatever language to protect yourself. Like, that's why crazy people are now. That's why I will not stand for any comic to go up there and talk about how mental health issues are important.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, you're the problem, because you're teaching the crazy people what to say. And
Yeah.
so now when you talk to them about narcissism and mental health, like, they're all ready for the coded languages. They're all ready, and they're not. They're just, they're ruining that speech. So the point where, yeah, you're saying,
Right.
I don't understand why I can't reprimand this clear abusive piece of shit. And it's like, oh, that's because the people that were reprimanding were also the abusive pieces of shit.
And that's one of the signs that a person is an abusive piece of shit, is that they victim blame.
Oh, I blame victims. No, I don't agree with that. When I worked in a bar, I was a karaoke host for way too long, and God, what a horrible reality that is. But when you're in a bar and you're watching the couple fight, right, the drunk couple fight that's holding everyone hostage, right, and the girl's like defending him, but you know that guy's a piece of shit, and she's still defending him even though you know that guy hits her, but she's also, why the fuck are you dating this? Why are you getting shit? And then he takes his shirt off to get in a fight with another guy who he thinks is trying to fuck her. And then there's a giant swastika on his chest. You know what I do? I look at the chick and I was like, well, that's what you get for fucking a guy that has a swastika on.
But that's chest. Different from the abuser blaming the victim. I'm talking about the actual abuser blaming. Yeah.
Thank you. No, yeah. Oh, that.
Yes.
For sure. Okay, yeah. That's the pot calling the kettle at that point.
Yeah, you're just holding that person accountable for their choices.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
That actually saves me about 30 years of my life.
Yeah.
I was wildly under the wrong impressions that I was judging this person, but
no, but you can't call out a fraud. It's totally wrong to do that. It's like, I can't wrap my head around that. That's just fucking weird to me.
Well, have you watched my video I posted on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So I saw, I think I saw 10 minutes of it. I had to stop watching it. But what is going on with you? What has been going on with you in Texas?
Okay, so I've been DIY, and I do a lot of stuff for free, because, like, when it comes to comedy shows, I really think it's like, do you want to hear the joke that will get you banned in Austin from doing shows?
Well, can you tell it on YouTube? Will it get me banned from YouTube?
No, it won't get you banned on YouTube. Maybe, we'll find out.
You don't say the N word or the F word. like the gay
ones?
F word.
Which ones?
The N word? There's more than one N word?
Yeah, man, neuroscientist.
Okay,
that's the best one. Neurology, that's the best N-word. Why don't we talk about that N-word? Why does that N-word get to replace that N-word? I don't think that's fair to all the other N-words who don't get to wake up and like, I think today I should be the N-word. I'm pretty important. Nuremberg trial, very important N-word, especially in this. Okay, also.
Yeah, Sam Harris is such an N-word. I can't even stand him.
Yeah, that's my N-word.
Okay, what's the joke?
The joke is, this will get you banned from all the shows in Austin. This is what you can't say in free speech, libertarian land. None of the shows in Austin are worth the $20 they're charging. Okay. That's it.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, this show's not worth the $20 you paid for it, is it? When you say that on stage and they all clap agreeing because the talent was terrible and nobody seems to care that the audience is there, which is essentially what we're seeing happening. We're getting flooded out by these doofuses who do not care that the job is essentially to make someone laugh. Now, in that middle ground between making someone laugh, there is a wide chasm of interpretations and unique individual ways to figure that out. That is not the bag I'm talking about. I'm just talking about that one little pesky thing of this person still has to laugh for this to be a thing.
Right.
And now that's the thing no one thinks about, because it is a parade of karaoke hosts booking each other on their karaoke host shows where you go up, you do your 33 minutes, and then you go get your 3-minute shine, you get your 3-minute shine, and the host will get the bar tab and call himself the producer, the showrunner.
Right. But you can't say that because now you're a critic. And if you are a young person or you're on a certain end of the political spectrum, you have to be inclusive. You have to be encouraging to everybody, right? Is that why you
No,
get in
I
trouble?
don't. I
Well, I'm
don't.
saying society.
Who said that? Like, nobody's challenging. Like, I keep hearing people say things like, well, you're supposed to. Okay, where did you find that out? Who
Well, no,
told
I'm
you that?
saying you're saying it by saying you can't say that because you'll get you banned places. You can't say this. None of these shows are worth $20.
No, well, I'm being funny. No, I'm not stupid. It's when you attack the money and you talk about the economics of something, and you expose a thing that's trying not to be exposed, then people like myself should absolutely be prepared to not be asked to be doing shows when you have clearly just completely called out exactly what the show is to an audience that was not enjoying itself, mostly because that to you is what stand-up comedy always kind of was. When that moment arises, you go, I'm going to say it.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to just say it. And
So are you getting attacked? Like, what is happening there?
yeah, I got attacked pretty bad. So it's a power game, essentially. I started a comedy club, and I started doing alt comedy shows in 2003 and four, technically four, because I started in October in 2003, and 2012. I went through so many experiences in San Antonio, Texas, which was just an absolute shit show. And there's lifetimes of stories I can tell you that I learned from being a door guy in a comedy club, being called a floor manager, but I'm just the door guy who has to seat people in a T section to sit up front because, in a 320 seater and there's 12 people, they're going to spread the fuck out. Like, you start picking up on all the things to make a comedy show good and all the necessary elements. You start understanding, oh, I need to replicate this in some ways so I can develop material that's going to be considered really good stand-up material, not really good bar material or really good podcast material or really good material for the Don't Tell comedy group or for the dry bar fucking reels on YouTube that gets them paid pretty well, that they pay you a flat fee and they keep for in perpetuity your life's work. It's out of control
Mm-hmm.
what comics are letting fly. And when the comics said, we're not going to let you have our content, they said, fuck you. Okay, fine. Here, we'll just call this person a comic, throw them up there. And turns out no one really cares because no one's actually listening to these albums anyways.
Right.
It really is just about likes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you ask me, what was your favorite joke? I tuned out after 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
yourself included.
Mm-hmm.
Our relationship to media is as such that if I post a thing that involves a lot of reading, boy, does that upset people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And a video reading, oh my God, how funny. I am getting, I've been trying to find a desperate way to say this in such a fluid way. I wrote it down, and I think I can tell it to you in a succinct way if you give me just 1 second to formulate it.
Sure.
I probably didn't do enough good job of being prepared in doing this, but it really, just the flat root of what the sheer stupidity and insanity. I don't know what happened in quarantine. I'll just say it. I work when I in 2012, I was leaving San Antonio to go to Austin, Texas, because I couldn't get any traction. No one would watch clips. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get booked because the reputation of San Antonio was so bad that you were instantly laughed at. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I have stories from the Boston Comedy Festival people about two San Antonio comics that involve naked shits, homelessness, and expecting to win a $10,000 check, but they literally paid to put this fat guy on a bus to get him out of there.
Wow.
It's just, my city has a terrible reputation in the industry side. Nobody outside of it gives a shit, but people in the industry are like, every San Antonio person is just the craziest person. What is going on there? And I said, I gotta, I'm from there. I'm just gonna go through it and film the whole thing and show people what it's like to try and do anything. So I've literally only gone in there. All right, well, you guys have used me for years because I can build an audience here. I have a fan base there, whatever that means. I've developed a lot of relationships. People will fly out to San Antonio to see me perform. I'm proud of that, but I'm also cognizant that I can't just be a fuck off about that either. They should get a good show. So I hyper concerned about that. And because of that hyper concern, I don't do things like I don't charge for a lot of shows. All I did was in 2012, I got 6, 7 comics who the comedy club, the local club in town wouldn't book. And I go, hey guys, no one's booking you. You're also not that good. We should focus on craft. Instead of trying to do a 15-minute set, you need to work on a 4-minute showcase set because that's all you're ever going to audition with. So you better learn how to get to the point quicker. And then we sat down on Sundays and we did this thing that we called a dojo, which is the stupidest name I could think of because I didn't want anybody to call it precious. Let's just call it something embarrassing. It's a karate dojo. I don't care. But the entire thing is just this. Stand up there, and instead of doing an open mic where you do the same jokes that haven't worked for years, well, that you're doing in front of comics, why don't we just say this is what this is? You're going up to tell a joke in front of comics. Let's just stop pretending to be an audience and ask you questions to see what are you talking about. So the questions were these 4. A comic would stand on stage and we would go, what's the point of what you're talking about? And you would say, this is the point. And we go, all right, why do you think it's funny? And they would say, I don't know. And then we'd be like, well, that's why no one's laughing because you don't even know why it's funny. And then they would go, well, I think it's funny because of this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's hilarious. Say that. And then they would say that. And it would be closer to their authentic voice. And also, it'd be really good stand-up, and it would get them more comfortable on stage because they were doing it on the stage they were going to perform a few days later. So it was effectively an open mic, but with structure where people asked you questions instead of tagging your jokes. So on stage, you can respond naturally from your own inherent sense of humor.
Okay.
It was the only way I thought that to do this without writing other people's sets. Because that's essentially what writing sessions turn into. Either some guy's trying to fuck some chick and he's doing it under the austere of let's write together, or someone's trying to steal jokes or can't write their own jokes, so they're crowdsourcing it, which I saw this dude named Cesar do, learning that trick. So to me, the only protective environment where you can have your own thoughts is where people ask you questions, and then your flippant side, whatever you respond to, is usually if you're funny, it's going to be funny.
So were people not responding to this very well?
Not the joke thieves, not the people who don't actually write jokes, not the premise shoppers. Turns out a lot of people don't write their own joke. I don't know if you know this, but like we had to, as a booker, I have to be really aware of this because when someone comes in with a mirror same set as someone else, someone's getting ripped off.
Right.
And I noticed this happening through the 2010s. A lot of rich kids, it's again, it goes back stand-up. Easy to pretend to do, easy to fake, difficult to actually do. You go up there, you can be a hack. You can be a hack and you can get fucking big laughs from that audience. You might even be a strong middle. You might even become a headliner in C clubs. But when you get to the big leagues, conceivably pre-quarantine, that shit wasn't going to ever fly because all the bookers knew better. So you had to be challenged. Now that's completely different, but I think that's a bad slide, and we should start demanding standards or at least setting them for ourselves because that's the only way I've ever gotten better. I'm naturally lazy. I don't want to do any work. I don't want to. I'm cluttered all up in here. It's difficult to communicate. I got issues, but I still have to do this, and it still has to be good. So my best work always has to be ahead of me. I can't ever feel like I arrived. I can't walk around prancing around like a little princess at the prom, like I've done something. What bullshit is that?
So like holding people to this standard somehow it led to you getting attacked or just hated?
I hold myself to the standard, but people's insecurity is such that they want approval from people who display that kind of whatever that is I'm displaying, like value system, work ethic, like, because I talked about heavy things and jokes and I never had any problems. No one canceled me in comedy. I said the N-word on stage and black people were like, thank you. That was a really funny, hilarious way you did it. I should be kicking your ass, but I'm just going to let this pass because, man, your point about the this and this and this really hammered this home. It's not a flippant thing you're just trying to do to fit in with your group chat.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm talking about the community. How did it lead to all this?
I'm still trying to figure that out. It's a mystery.
Oh, okay. So what happens? Okay, so you start this, and then what ends up happening? What
Well,
happens next?
okay. What happened was, uh, I don't charge for shows in this party room of this basement. I put on a midnight show on Fridays, and we started from there. And then I started teaching comics how to make flyers without spending too much time making flyers. Just gives three people don't care. Don't just give them the information and make them want to go, but don't push them into going. If they don't want to do, don't ask people who don't want to do things to do things. Don't waste your energy. Just little things like that. And slowly, weekly, let's just go out there, work on your material, give a shit. And if you give a shit about it and we're not charging, the audience is going to show up and they're going to be like, man, it's cool to watch things develop. I'm actually enjoying this. This is fun. And because I'm in a children's restaurant getting drunk, I can't be a pretentious, I can't feel like I can't judge it. So it just erased everything. And
Mm-hmm.
people started getting so much better. And then I would bring in MTV. I would bring in Dan Schlissel. Unfortunately, I would bring in anybody in the industry that would make these guys give them something to go, oh, I'm auditioning for CMT now. How the fuck did this pull off? Oh, the booker of this big festival is headlining here. And Jay put me in with this guy because he knows that I'm going to fit better with him and that guy's going to help me and I'm ready for that. It's just strategizing and helping people conserve their energy while
Right.
keeping the focus on writing jokes, not on this TikTok veneer of personality where you got to sell at all times that you're on this journey living a dream that no one cares, that because these people are believing it and
Right.
falling into their own uh they're buying their own stock, they're buying their own drugs,
You
so they
started doing this in, you said 2013, right?
I started doing this in 2004,
Okay.
technically, an alt theater space, BYOB shows and shit. And then at the same time, I was working at a mall club, learning how to entertain tourists and tried to learn how to marry the act to turn it into a feature act. And then when you do enough time, I built that into a headlining act. And then when you do enough check spots where they drop checks and you can kind of handle that, then in my mind I was like, okay, I'm now a headliner. I'm now being asked to headline. They're making me a headline. I never asked. So
Yeah.
now, like I feel like I'm functionally moving forward. I still feel like my best writing's ahead of me. I haven't really been able to attack it because, just doing this is so much. You know what I'm talking about. You have a StreamYard and all this podcast equipment. We're all trying to figure out ways to get in front of an audience to develop material. Well, it doesn't work. All you need is a people, and you need to consciously develop in front of those people. You need a central place to do that. You need a group of people who feel that way, and you all need to advertise on social media together simply. And you can't make it a big deal about your names and the headshot. No one cares. Give them a good time. They will remember you and they will follow your career. And I've been pushing that, and it's been very helpful. But the problem is people are sketchy exploiters. Weird sex issues come up, and in San Antonio, I'm just surrounded by the most comical archetypes of every stupid thing you've ever heard about in comedy. It's happening at all times. Literally, there is a there's a new comedy club that's only open because of several GoFundMe's in an area where you get your car robbed all the time. And the guy that's pretending to be this comedy club owner slash comedy coach is just a guy that's been doing defensive driving instructions for like years and years and years, who entered the church as a comedian. And then when that grift didn't work, opened up a comedy club after it became popular. That was completely just, they have no liquor license. It's just a means for him to pats himself on the back. This is a guy who was doing comedy for 6 months when I started and then retired. And for 20 years has been a defensive driving instructor, now teaching comedy lessons to people paying money for this, telling them to change their names, get stage names, and then reeling out an 8-hour crowd work video and calling that a stand-up lesson.
Okay.
Right? That's one guy. That's just one. I have I have another guy who's uh I mean, it's just I have all these insane people, like they're all fighting with each other to be seen as headliners. I'm like, no one books you.
Right. Yeah,
No
so
one's
where's the I'm wondering like where is the controversy coming in? Because you're like putting videos out on Facebook right now. If
yeah,
people
yeah.
want to go watch them, it's at Jay
Well,
Whitecotton on Facebook. But
the controversy is I booked a room, and when I went through a month where I had 4 funerals to go to. I had to ride.
Jesus.
I was homeless for a week because we got gentrified out of Austin because of the price hikes, and
Wow.
I had a really I lost my home of 10 years and was trying to live in my truck and get shit going, and the basically it was so bad and so terrible. And my best friend, who I basically started comedy with, and he was dying of cancer. Uh, and I stayed around in Texas the past 7 years to be around my friend, and because he couldn't drive all the time, so I would drive him to gigs that I wasn't even on.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, I'd do spots. I was like, Larry, you fucking headline, I'll feature, or whatever. I don't care. Let's just have a good time, man. And well, unfortunately, I put him in charge of my club and stuff, and he was like fucking one of the other comics, comic girlfriend, and wilding out behind his wife's back, and this other comic. But he was a sexual predator in a lot of ways. Just hungry and stuff, and doing it behind his children's back. And I'm like, I didn't need to know all of this when you're asking me to write you a song because I'm a musician, and he knows me as a musician from back in the day, and I have to perform this song at your wake that's in a month.
Okay.
So I all in preparation for this song, I'm like doing the funerals, homeless for a week, trying to find a place to live, have to see fucking Ghostbusters with the family for this is the last time we'll ever see Ghostbusters
Yeah,
as a
that's a
group.
lot. It's a lot to be going through.
While he is also having a absolute psychosis breakdown because he's begging everyone he knows that knows famous people to send videos saying goodbye to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kept begging me,
Jesus.
get Stanhope to send a video saying, I'm sorry you're dying, Larry. I was like, I don't
Jesus
know the dude
Christ.
like that. And I wouldn't ask him to do that anyways. That seems so crazy and weird. Like he had
Uh-huh.
Patton Oswald, like it was really
Okay.
sweet. It was
Yeah.
really sweet. He got all this. He got all of this from being an opener in San Antonio, and he was so endearing. And there's so many good things about him. I'm talking about the
Okay.
one of the worst things, unfortunately, and that's the thing that comes with like I'm surrounded by cancel culture as a booker, but at the end of the day, we need a show. And they're all monsters. So I don't know who you want me to apologize for, but they're all terrible people. Louis
Mm-hmm.
C.K. is a piece of shit, but also all those girls he had a problem with, they were equally pieces of shit, making sure they were trying to put themselves in a position to do this because everyone involved is trying to become famous for bullshit. Everyone involved in this sucks. Like that's how I'm emotionally feeling about it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
I'm trying
Yes.
to put you in this phrase like I'm tired of dealing with fucking fame
Well,
whores and
right. Yes.
celebrity. I hate celebrity. I've always
Right.
hated. I got into stand up because I hated celebrities and I wanted to shit on celebrities.
Okay, so I'm still on like the controversy that's happening in San Antonio.
I'm
Like you're
trying to
getting
just.
blowback from being this personality.
I
Like,
guess I helped all of them. That's the thing I'm really fucking struggling with. Like I helped all of them. I was advocating. I fought against a comedy club that was actually sexually harassing people, making them do
right.
private auditions on the main stage when no one was there during the mics with
Okay.
girls telling them to show cleavage. And I'm messaging them. I'm like, hey, you probably should fucking put a kibosh on this manager who's going way out of town. He's now dividing this. Like, this is going to hurt your business.
So
And
you don't know where the tipping point was
the
then.
tipping point is I'm always the guy that's calling shit out. And that's the
Right.
problem. I'm always
Okay.
that you're the guy that everyone's afraid of because, oh, you never know what he's going to say. Because if you have something if you're afraid of, we all have things that we're afraid to come out. So people like that bring out that energy. I have to accept that. I have to accept that I do that. What ended up happening is all these people were they don't care about us as people. We have to admit that. I know that, but they were working in their own self-interest. They just wanted to take the venue from me. Like I had this venue
Jesus.
for 14 years, and I wouldn't let them charge. They started charging for shows. At that point, I was kind of backing away. I just like, I need space to deal with this and figure things out. It was always built to be a community run room, meaning I didn't want a hierarchy. There's no leaders. Handle yourselves like adults. these people are doing, this is the host, they're doing the lineup. uh this person, you're working on jokes, oh, you're working on a crazy thing, all right, we'll put you here so you can work on it here. You're just doing your regular set, can we put you up top so we can hit the show strong? We're not doing a bucket list. No, we actually care for the audience experience. We want to make sure there's a flow to this, so we really work hard for it, which is why we've been doing it for 14 years, because people still really appreciate when you care about their experience, and at the same time are willing to say whatever you feel like is funny and should be said. I feel like that's the balancing act. And because they were pretending to be comics, and honestly, I think what happened is when I took over the list, I go, all right, I just want to make sure that everybody's writing their own jokes, and just sign up on this email instead of going to an exclusive Facebook group. Just sign up on the email and make sure you're writing your own jokes. And everybody disappeared.
Well, that's strange.
And then suddenly I was a cult leader.
Well, that's what, did they end up taking the room from you?
Here's what happened. No, they didn't.
Oh, that's good.
They ruined years of my life for sure. They've robbed me of that because I haven't been able to do stand up since that lady died, really. And I really want to. And I needed my room to do it because that was like my comfort place to where I can explore. And I was like, I need this room to be able to work out some really dumb shit. I just need to have, I'm a big surrealism fan. I like Dadaism. I think it's time, like everyone's trying to be serious issues. I want to do the silliest, stupidest shit I can and not be so precious and beholden to things. And I want to see if I can develop that. And I'll do it on my own thing. So I started doing that, and they didn't understand it because I wasn't sounding like everyone else. I wasn't trying to do the same subjects as everybody else. Biden, Trump, I wasn't interested in that. And I was in charge of booking, and they wanted to be in charge of booking, and they wanted to take over money. They wanted to start charging, and they formed a clique. And so a group of 6 or 7 of them found a way to try and push me out of working my own room on my own equipment.
Right. Did you have a contract with anybody to prevent this from happening?
No, I don't do that. I don't do it doesn't I didn't honor the contracts that were trying to screw me from Stand Up Records and Comedy Dynamics. I don't give a shit. My word's my bond. And if you violate your end, then I'm going to explain, whatever. I'm going to use my word. No, what happened is like, I didn't know what was going on because I was too distracted by the death of my friend and some of the horrible shit I was going through because of what he set up for me to go through. Basically, it all kind of came out about what he was doing with this comic girlfriend in the venue, and he invited her to roast him in front of his wife and kids.
Okay.
And I had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Because I love his wife and kids.
Right.
I played Beatles songs at their wedding. The kids I've seen grow up. I worked hard to make sure that Larry had money for Christmas presents because the treatment was so expensive. Like I don't have a family, so the people around me I try to care for without, it means something to me. And dealing with all those emotions, I went to do the roast. I spent practicing. I brought my buddy Jenny with me. You don't know Jenny, but Jenny's really cool. She was married to a hardcore punk rock Christian minister, and then he died, and she lost her faith in God. It's a funny story, but she's like rockabilly punk rock as shit. She used to be a punk rock youth minister. She's worked in homelessness. Then she ended up working court cases for the FBI, looking for fraud. Just a unique individual, and she's always wanted to sing. And I go, well, I got to do this living wake because the guy didn't die, so we gotta do this guy's roast. Do you want to sing the song? I can't roast anybody. None of these people have done anything, and they all hate me because I guess I don't know. It's just typical comedy bullshit, scene nonsense that we all experience in our local areas. That I hear from other people. We go up, we do the road. We get there. The guy, I think what happened is I think Larry freaked out because I didn't want to give him a headshot for his roast. I was like, if nobody knows who I am, then I don't need to be on your roast. What are you doing, dude?
Like for the online promo? I mean, yeah, you don't really need a headshot.
Not just online promo, for the production itself. Like he got the comedy club to give him the room. He filled it up. He was asking the Alamo Draft Holes next door if they wanted to do a teleremote. This is a guy that wouldn't go to Thanksgiving because his cousins didn't wear masks. telling people a week later, hey, come on out to this venue. It's my living wake. You don't need a mask. Like that, all that COVID fucking anger shit was coming up. And just that hypocrisy, that just delusional mania of I need to be seen as famous.
Yeah.
That's I have no self-worth and I have to do it in front of my wife and kids who have to live after me. No one's going to be putting on these big special fundraising events for the family when this dude's dead. So I took a song and I went up there and I did it with that in mind. I see my friend Tori on stage. Her mom just died. She's a lost soul right now, but she's trying to take care of herself. Hey, Tori, sorry about your mom. She would have been so proud to see you right now. Hey, George, my buddy George over there, he's every 3 months around this time, he's a batshit crazy because his gay brother killed himself. And I know that it just will always haunt him. And he's got a lot of his own issues that he can't talk about. So it's always a nightmare dealing with this guy. Here we are around all these friends and family. Look at the family right there. They're the ones that are more important right now. And I'm saying this because I want this to be said. But the entire time, Larry is just seething pissed off at me, thinking I'm going to tell the truth and out him for all his sexual predatory stuff, which is, I don't care. It's not my business. I don't know the deal you have with your wife. That's none of my, I should not be involved in this. I'm just here to sing a song. And this motherfucker didn't even put a microphone or anything out there, didn't tell anybody I was there to do that. And in fact, told people he was upset because I was there to just do roasts, which I was not there to do.
Okay.
And there's a chair for me. So basically, he set me up to go to a roast where I get to, no, sit down and everyone's going to shit on you. By the way, you didn't prepare any roast jokes. You were too busy writing a song because you weren't doing a roast. You were doing a song. Does that make sense now? I was closing the night. He asked me to do a closing number for the night, make a big, grand, fucking fun thing out of it because he's a sketch guy. And I was like, I can do this. Please don't make me roast. I don't want to be a part of this roast. I think that this is, I don't like roasts. I think they're entertaining, but I think it's bad for stand-up. And it's encouraging people not to develop stand-up material. It's encouraging them to be really good at shitting on people. And I know there's an economy and I know people have gotten success from that, but I don't see it as financial success. I see it as platform success, and that's not real to me. So I'm dealing with all this shit.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to direct people to view any of these videos, or do you want people to see this stuff?
I do. I think I do. But I don't want people to go into it thinking that it's all worked out and it's the finished product. No, that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm just exploring like editing and the creative process and storytelling.
Sure.
And I'm going to tell the story over and over again until I figure out how to speak right. Because at the end of the day, the backstory is I'm trying to learn how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in isolation. So I'm finding it difficult that when I say things, people think different things. So words have different meanings to people. So I'm trying to navigate that a little bit better so that I can be more effective at speaking, which I think is important for, stand-up comedy. And it's hard to do when I'm in a scene filled with cokeheads who don't know how to handle their coke, who don't know how to have sex. And they're all these 40-year-olds who want to be seen madams and seen daddies walking around and basically power pushing people. None of these people were really stand-ups and they don't really have acts. And the ones that do, their acts are garbage.
No, I mean, you're in like, you're just in one scene in one city.
It's easier to tear me down and say, oh, he's crazy and a cult leader than it is to write jokes and do better. And I think I'm experiencing a major backlash because I'm just too stubborn to give into that. I honestly, I'm not even the book. I gave it to two local guys and it's in their hands, two newer comics. I said, you guys have the booking power. You're in charge of lineups. I'll here to guide, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're going to learn from your own mistakes because again, the only way to do this is to give them their own opportunities. Like if I was running shit and just hosting and stuff, that would just be an ego exercise. The room I built is to develop your act. And that means you go into with the purpose. I'm working on these jokes. Oh, right. Now I'm working on my hosting skills. Now I'm working on my producing skills. Now I got to work on how to handle the game. And so I've just been documenting step by step, helping new comics figure out what they want to do for themselves, because that's what I'm trying to figure out for myself. And I figured if I do it openly like this, it won't be some condescending come down from the mountain fucking bullshit. It'll be like, no, I've been doing this for 20 years. You've been doing it for one. No big deal. We're on equal grounds because at the end of the day, I got to write new stuff. I'm a new person. I got to write what that is. I'm developing, I'm growing, and I got to communicate that to an audience, or else I need to quit and figure something else out, because I'll be wasting a lot of people's time doing the same act every year for 40 years, like those old vets we started out with.
Yeah. So is there anywhere else you want to send people to follow you anywhere? Because I know you're not into that stuff, but I just wanted to ask.
I guess, well, I'll be putting stuff on my Instagram at Whitecotton, and I'll be putting it on this new Facebook, because this group, they canceled my Facebook. They had a big mass reporting party where they reported all my posts. I got all these I was like, why am I getting reported like, why am I, oh, I'm banned from Facebook. That's fun.
Wow.
There goes all my family photos and thousands.
Yeah, I went to your Facebook today and I noticed that there's only 3 posts up.
Yeah, that's intentional, because now I'm using Facebook not to put all my content, my life, and my family photos so that they can steal it from me. Right. Now I'm using it to attack these people, and I don't care if I lose that.
So this is an ongoing thing. This is still happening now. It's
still happening now. And what I want to do is if anyone creative is interested in what I'm talking about and jives with this, if you're interested in comedy drama, but you're also find it to be the dumbest, gayest thing possible, like myself, honestly, I'm just looking for tips on, does this story make sense? Am I editing this right? Because I want to edit a story, because I have to learn how to edit now. I think in 21st century medium, our job skills are more than just joke structure, but in editing structures and we have to evolve. You're absolutely correct. I'm not anti-evolving or moving forward. It's just it's a little clunky and messy, and we should be allowed to figure that stuff out. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's not the industry standard of fake it till you make it, stand up there, have this voice, and get on Don't Tell, and then get on the pony parade. I don't think that's stand-up comedy. And so I go, that's not stand-up comedy. I go, it is stand-up comedy. And so I'm a big cult-leading piece of shit, crazy lunatic who they go to management and say, we're really worried about him, but we should be booking. And then
do you think you'll put any stand-up online soon, anytime, or you're not into that?
Okay. No, help me out here. Okay. That's what I'm trying to figure out. There's going to be an edit. A part of me cheekily was like, how about I put out a comedy special where I can't do any comedy because of how insanely saturated with the mentally ill, that whatever therapist told him to come out and do comedy, whatever piece of shit told all the crazy people in America to go up on stage and do it live and call that comedy, whoever that is, we should kill that person for sure. Which I'm sure you can't say on YouTube. So when I say kill, I mean with kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
You kill him with kindness. You love him to death, right? You see,
you have so much energy in your brain that you just run out.
I've been teaching myself how to edit and how to speak so this doesn't happen. I want to be better at being concise and move a story, move ahead. If you look at some of the earlier edits, it is a collage of what is going on. Like I was doing a choose your own adventure where you watch one clip, and then if you want a backstory of what was going on, you'd have to click a link to create like this spider web of deep dives on YouTube, but it doesn't functionally work that way. There's not a good mystery to it. So now I'm working with a website operator with tiny T-Rex arms, who's a brilliant engineer. So we're trying to develop a way where maybe you can do that with comedy videos. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking all this comedy drama, and every time it gets to a point that is something that I've recorded over the past 20 years, because I have 20 years of notes, I'm thinking about, okay, tell me if I'm sorry, this is the first time I've vocalized this to another comic. So I am a little precious about this. I'm thinking about, I'm surrounded by everybody. People are asking me, Jay, new comics are asking me, how do I be vulnerable on stage? And I find that insane. How to be human? Are you asking me how to be a human being on stage? Mm-hmm. You're doing the most vulnerable thing already. Just be honest. That's really it. Right. I'm scared. That's it. You did vulnerability. Congratulations, human. But that is a thing that people are trying to affect. I'm being asked by sociopaths, basically, how do I affect being vulnerable so people think I'm interesting? Because clearly being funny is not good enough. Okay. I think I want to make fun of that by putting out the most vulnerable comedy special ever, meaning it's just going to be it'll either be one joke that I've never been able to make work that I'm completely working out. And you see the journey of me trying to work it out, or I start from the beginning and you get to see my very first sets.
There you go.
And I do a whole series like, well, here's me bombing. Here's how my friend's bombing. I'm talking to an open micer right now who has an issue. I'll give you okay. March 28th is my first, my comeback show. Do you want to know the situation?
Yeah.
All right, here's what we're doing. There's this guy named Omar, right? Omar is 6 months into comedy, but damn it. No, he's a year into comedy. Excuse me. He's a year into comedy and he wants to do 30 minutes. Now, I'm glad you're laughing. He doesn't have 10.
Right.
But he wants to do 30 minutes this March 28th. And he told me for this special bit, he wants to do a funny bit. He wants to find someone successful and famous to open up for him because that's really funny, right? How about I get someone who's really great at comedy to open up for me and I'll do 30 minutes for the first time. And you're much nicer than I am because I said, who do you know that's famous? I'm the most famous person you know. Do you know how sad that is for me to say out loud?
Right.
Do you know how mean that is for you to make me have to tell you that? Because I don't want to think in those terms. It's bad enough I got to tell my friend Jerry, I am not a has-been. I am a never was. I have to explain this to people. Not fun. So Omar wants to do his 30 minutes. So I realized I was like, you know what? This will force me to get back on stage. I'm going to do an hour before Omar after not being on stage for a few years. And I'm going to include other comics. I'm going to build a whole shit show around it. We're going to make it a big spectacular. I might bring up everything that I'm going through right now. I might put into it. I might try to work out that new joke. I'm thinking about two things. I'm thinking about the drunk couple holding all of us hostage. And I'm thinking about, we don't need gatekeepers, but we need a bouncer for sure. We need somebody at the door. We need a door guy for sure. I think so. Right? Fuck the gate. It'd be bad condition, but somebody should be standing there, keeping the riffraff out. But whatever it is, Omar's going to do his. I'm going to do is we're going to edit something, and I'm going to set this boy up to fail. I'm going to make the audience cry. I think I'm going to make them cry. I'm going to bring up this emotional thing. I'm going to get the archetype to it. And at the end, Omar has to follow it, but I won't be watching. I'll be upstairs hanging out with all my friends, and we're going to video all of that and discuss it as part of the challenges where I get to talk to Omar and go, I think it's awesome that you did that. When I was 6 months in, I put out 2 albums. I have no right to judge you.
Right.
I had to do this too. And I want to be more encouraging of that while at the same time being practical to what is stand-up comedy, because this isn't it. We're doing some horse shit and it's entertaining and we're going to have fun and we're going to bring the audience involved into it, but they're not going to leave thinking they screwed us over and they lied to us. This was not a good show at all. They're going to leave going, man, they promised me a shit show and that's exactly what I got. And I've never seen anything like it. And I had so much fun. And in the process of doing that, we're going to work out our stand-up acts 4 minutes at a time. So it's just a scheme to get better at stand-up and navigate media culture, because I do one of these shows, I'll have content for 3 months on social medias where I can focus more on jokes. So that's essentially what I'm working on. It's a parallel. I'm dealing with this stupid retard gang of nobodies trying to redefine the last 10 years of my life according to their crazy fantasy, while trying to rebuild a stand-up career, cognizant of the fact that all of these things are really stupid. But if I make an interesting story out of it, maybe other people are going through it can learn something. Maybe sometime I'll have an episode where I talk about, well, sometimes I think it's important that comics put the conflict in the setup. Too often we think the conflict is in the punchline and we think, oh, it's conflict, so it's funny. And we're like, no, that's the start of it. The funny kind of comes after that, right?
Yeah, man, this is a lot of information. We have covered so much.
Well, that's the framework of it. I would start with like, you know what, my setups, have always been kind of drawn out because I'm a big fan of really long jokes. That was the first joke I learned was the "fuck you clown" joke. I've gotten kicked out of a lot of places from 6th grade on because I told this ridiculously long joke that ends with just "fuck you clown." It's really just a kid who hates clowns, and at the end of the day, works really hard to get back at him. And at the end of it, he just screams "fuck you clown." That was it. It was just nothing. It's one of those nothing jokes, and to me, that's probably exhausting in life. So. What if I talked about I'm trying to put the conflict in the setups? So if I set it up with the conflict, when I hit the joke, right after I hit the situation, I got the audience laughing a little bit more, start laughing, bigger laugh, and then they're now in their response, they're in the logic of where you're taking them. So when you violate it, however you want to, they're there, they're in it, they're having a good time. And if you can keep that going and extend on that, then you're building a badass comedy set with big automatic laughs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit something where I put the conflict in the beginning. I'm going to put the conflict at the very beginning, and we're going to start the funny after that and work it out. And then maybe there's a punchline at the end. I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out on March 28th. Or this is something else you're talking about.
No, I'm going to do it then, but we'll release all of it because we're being very sincere and honest, because it's really funny watching people fall apart when you're just like, well, here's a video of you being the giant, massive piece of shit on your podcast, calling me a sociopath and lying about me. But I guess it's not cool for me to take that same footage and then put it on my socials.
Yes. Well, we have done almost 2 hours, and man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on here. I think you have a lot of great stories, and yeah, it's good to talk to you. I haven't seen you in forever. I don't think I was in Austin. I was in Austin like 2022 or something, or yeah, maybe 2022. I think 2023 actually. And I would love to see more of your stand up online. But I get it. I don't have any of mine online, really.
Why would I if it's the only thing that's going to make me money, why would I give that away?
Right.
When I can have a guy dressed as Thor battling a guy dressed as Jesus, while a handicapped dude with little arms is dressed as Flava Heimdall because he's a hype man. Flava and Heimdall put together. He bought the costume. He looks amazing. Why wouldn't I just put that as my socials and go, if you want to see the comedy, look at that. We're having a good time. We also do stand up. You're going to want to be there for that. And it creates the mystery, and it creates the opportunity for new comics, the freedom of anonymity to be able to work out their ideas until they feel confident enough and to build sets and move forward faster. The whole goal is to save people 3 years, because when did you started before time? How long did it take you to host a gig?
Oh, I hosted pretty quickly, actually. Probably like 6 months in.
Yeah, 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Already hosting a professional comedy club, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a path there that is gone. The development path is gone. We need to get back to developing acts instead of this hyper production of industrialization of the arts, where we just found a way to bring Reaganomics into the arts. I don't know how else to say it. It's just trickle down rich kid ideas to the poor that we collect and then try to turn into content.
Yeah.
I created a cult.
That's why they're calling you a cult leader.
They called me a cult. Well, no, they called me a cult leader first. Then I decided to create a cult. It's just a cult of content. And if you really want to know the big joke, I'll tell you the big joke. You want it? I'll tell you. I'll do it at the very beginning.
And then I'm gonna end the show.
Okay. The big joke. The big joke is we're not actually a cult. We're only doing this to sell T-shirts. We're part of the big T-shirt industrial complex, and we're going to be selling a lot of merch. And our first merch, we're going to be selling our T-shirts with a silhouette of 9/11 on it, with a big no symbol.
Mm-hmm.
It says "Say no to 9/11." And
I saw that on your Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to sell a lot of those shirts. We're going to sell a whole bunch of different shirts. We're just trying to be shirt merchants, because that's the only way to make money anymore. We're all working for Big T-shirt.
Mm-hmm. Big T-shirt. All right. Well, people can follow you at Whitecotton on Instagram, and or friend request him on Facebook, Whitecotton. So
Honestly,
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of criticism. You know, have fun. Let's just fuck it. Who gives a shit? Why are
Yeah,
we
fuck it.
so precious about this stupid shit?
Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you.
I'll keep you in
I'll
line. And
Heck yeah, man. Let's keep, I mean, I'm probably gonna text you right after this is over. So,
hell yeah,
all right.
rock and roll. All right. Oh, can I get a recording? How do I see this? Because I haven't seen anything I've done. I haven't seen the Aaron Berg shit. I haven't
This will
seen any.
be on YouTube. As soon as it's live right now, so it's on live YouTube right now, and then it will remain on YouTube under my channel, which is Felicia Gillespie.
Right. Cut to that channel, comment section for all the words you're not allowed to say. Just write in the comment section.
Well, there will be a live chat right now, but once it's like published and the show's over, the live chat will not be available anymore. And then I filter my comments so that doesn't happen.
No,
yeah.
let him. What? Why do you hate free speech?
I don't hate free speech. I just want to run a nice place.
No, I get that. Oh, really? You just want to have a nice functional thing. You don't want a bunch of loud assholes ruining it so it doesn't function.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds reasonable.
All right, cool. Thanks, Jay. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it so much. And wow, so many comments in the free chat. So many comments in the free chat. I think I'm gonna end the stream, and maybe I'll do another one at 10 o'clock. I don't know. I might have another person who wants to jump on with me on a second stream. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But thanks for hanging out, everybody.